Podcast Network.
Doesn't it? Or did. Joe Cox with an up and out. Wide open. Touchdown. Israel Troop.
Snap to Young. Drops back. Pressure from the edges. He throws near sideline. And it's intercepted. Intercepted. Keely Ringo at the 21. Off he goes. 40, 50, 45, 40, 35, 30. Near sideline. Breaks the tackle. 20, 15, 10, 5. Touchdown. 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 Georgia.
Good evening, neighborhood. How about them dogs?
32, 18. Let the celebration begin.
What's up, man? What's up? We're back after a very hearty Thanksgiving, after a quarterfinal win for Coach Troop here, on to the semis. It is Bleav in Georgia Dogs podcast on the Bleav Network, presented by betonline.ag. Joining me is the aforementioned Coach Troop. What's up, man?
What up? What up?
Glad to have you back.
Yeah, man. Hope everybody had a great Thanksgiving. We had a great win Friday night. One more win, and it's guaranteed that we'll at least have an appearance yet. It's a guarantee.
There you go. Guaranteed, yeah. So you guys put it on Calhoun, which I'm not used to seeing because Calhoun's usually a pretty good team, but you guys, man, that was impressive.
We did. I think our guys had some harbored feelings from last year because Calhoun kind of stomped on the field a little bit because they played them at home last year. It wasn't very pretty for the Calhoun Yellow Jackets. One for Jackets in general because what we did at Georgia Tech either.
Yeah. So it is it's good to see. So good luck in the quarterfinal or semifinals, I should say, against Dutchtown. So I'm excited for that. I'm excited for you. We got a lot to talk about, man. We got a lot to catch up on, some coaching searches, things like that. Some hires have already been made, which I guess these things are happening a lot quicker nowadays, but we'll get into that here in just a second. We're also going to talk playoff implications, what could happen. We're going to tell you what LSU is going to look like. And then, of course, we're going to make some picks, definitely not as many as we have in previous weeks. So, but we are presented by betonline.ag. Basketball is back. BetOnline remains your number one source for all your sports betting needs this season. You'll always find the latest odds, team matchup info, player news, and game trends at BetOnline. And as your continued source for all sports wagering information, BetOnline features live betting, free contests, and giveaways all season long. Always the fastest and easiest way to bet your favorite sports and events, whether that's NFL, NBA, NHL, MMA, tennis, boxing, or even golf. And you can throw in college football in there as well. So head to betonline.ag to join and receive your 50% welcome bonus with your first deposit. Make sure you use that promo code Bleav. That's BLEAV to receive your rewards. BetOnline, it's where the game starts. Man, Ohio State destroyed my parlay. Would have gotten it, USC, TCU, and had it not been for Ohio State, I would have won $1 million. No, I would have probably just won like $50, but still.
Man, that was a beat down if I've ever seen one. I was not expecting that. I think I took Michigan plus 9, so I thought it'd at least be close. Glad to have been, but I was not expecting Michigan to do what they did, in which they did it. So Purdue, you got a tout ahead of yourself on Saturday.
Yes, absolutely they do. I mean, I haven't seen a team go into the shoe and beat Ohio State like that. I mean, that was a clinic on just manhandling apparently a much softer team.
And, the toughest team that Ohio State's played is Penn State, I think. Maryland I knew it was going to be close just because Maryland gave them a pretty good game last week. Maryland's gotten a lot better. After Rutgers did to Michigan, I was like, this is going to be closer than most people think. Both of them coming off of their probably their worst games of the year, but Ohio State clearly had their worst game of the year in the so can they bounce back from that? I think they have written their ticket out of the playoffs. They got a good feeling that people are still going to try to put a South Alabama team if something fishy happens this weekend.
Well, we're all Trojan fans this week, and fight on. USC looked impressive, though. I mean, we'll get right into the playoff implications here. I mean, Michigan punches their ticket. I think they're in no matter what happens. If they somehow get upset by Purdue, I still think they're in. USC is a team that they control their own destiny here as far as playoff goes. If they lose to Utah, which is very possible, Utah beat them by 1, giving them their only loss this season. So it is possible for Utah to beat them, but this will be a tough matchup for USC. But if you've watched Caleb Williams over the last few weeks, he has said, "Give me the Heisman." I'm gonna take it. That dude is impressive, man. That's probably between him and Drake May, which I think I'm going to give the nod to Caleb Williams. But Caleb Williams is the best quarterback in the country right now.
Yeah, I mean, he was disrespectfully athletic this past against a really good defensive Notre Dame team. Kudos to Coach Freeman for having those guys bounce back the way they did after struggling. I think he's going to do well at Notre Dame when he gets his recruits in, kind of hits that trail. But just watching Caleb Williams, I mean, he's making plays. It is like literally trying to tackle somebody in the phone booth, and you still and the weapons that he has around him. The offensive line did a phenomenal job. It's basically, they control their own destiny. I think they playing against Utah. It's really hard to beat a team twice down the year. So because each team is getting better and better as they go along. So it's going to be a good game. I think they play at 12 o'clock on Saturday.
Yeah, I think Friday. The early.
Friday, right?
Friday, yeah, I think Friday. Well, they might be I don't know. I'll double check that here in just a minute when we make our picks. But like, they win, they're in. Obviously, TCU wins, they're in. But that's a tough matchup with K-State as well. I mean, I don't know how the committee's going to shake this thing out if they jump TCU with USC into the third spot and match Georgia up with TCU. Obviously Georgia's got to take care of business, and we'll talk about how later. But like of the 3 teams remaining, what outside of the 3 teams remaining, TCU, Michigan, and USC, what you think they're gonna try to backdoor Alabama in here?
I think they will. I think if TCU loses, I really do think they're going to try to backdoor and put Alabama, because everybody wants to see Alabama for a lot of reasons. But I think TCU and USC have a good chance of staying. I know if USC lose, they'll be out. So now it just goes to who to put in. The next best team up will be Ohio State. But considering that they just lost the way they did, they would have to be number 4 after Ohio State. If TCU loses, USC wins. So, and if we lose, Michigan wins, U wins, and TCU loses, USC win go now. There's Michigan and Georgia. I think Michigan won, and USC, and then TCU. I feel like do it.
That'll definitely be a conversation piece right there. Just trying to figure out how that would shake out if chaos ensues. So it's going to be fun nonetheless. The rankings will come out tomorrow. We are live on a Monday night as the Colts and Steelers attempt to play football. I don't know what you call that, but I don't know if you'd call that football. But so those will come out. The playoff rankings will come out. That'll kind of lead the way. That'll give us a little bit of guidance on what they may do depending on some of the results, and we can probably better better predict a lot of that stuff. So, coaching hires, man, like there's been quite the action this weekend. Luke Fickell lands at Wisconsin. Matt Rule lands at Nebraska. Hugh Freeze lands at Auburn. And looks like Willie Fritz has landed at Georgia Tech.
Mm-hmm.
So
it's a mighty weird situation. You know, I never
would
have thought Fickle would go to Wisconsin. Only one that kind of threw me for a loop. Like, is he trying to leave Cincinnati and then to go to Wisconsin? You know, it's like, dang, never saw that one.
No.
He doesn't strike me as a guy that Barry Alvarez would, you know, take to Hollywood, because he like a guy that this is my way, the highway. You know, I'm going to run this team the way I want to. He just gives that presence when I look at him. I love Luke Fickell.
Yeah,
and
I think it'd be great. He's what they need. They need to kind of get out of that mold a little bit.
Oh yeah,
because I think sometimes they get trapped in that and they get stuck.
Yeah, it's boring.
And that's how they ended up with Paul Chryst.
It's real boring.
Yeah,
boring. I think he's going to add a little fire at Wisconsin. Willie Fritz, Georgia Tech should have been their first pick to begin with. Would have had to offer me a lot more money to come now. I'm like, why didn't you hire me the first time to do this right now?
Exactly.
I think he gets to take back. I kind of do. You use all those athletes. You know, and Will Fritz's offense, I mean, they do really, really well. But Paul Johnson was doing before he left, and they were really successful then. I always knew that Matt Rule would get a job as soon as he got fired from the Panthers. So, and I knew for some reason Nebraska was right dead on. So, then from South Carolina is apparently going to be his OC. So,
okay.
Heard that. Kenny Dillingham is going to Arizona State.
That's the one I was thinking. I was like, I know I left somebody out, but yeah, Kenny Dillingham. That's a good hire, I think, too. He goes back to his hometown. I think that could be a good fit. He was the guy that kind of made that Oregon offense go this year. He had Bo Nix kind of dialed in this year. So if you can do that for most of the year, you've earned a head coaching role for sure.
He's made everybody happy in Arizona by trying to keep Arizona kids in Arizona.
Yeah, which is important.
Arizona's a really good football state. You know, Chandler, who we played a couple years ago, always had dudes.
Yeah.
That is a really good hire. The one that baffling me is the whole Hugh Freeze deal, because I really think Cadillac would have been a great head coach. I think if he's
I do too.
A good two, which they proved to be pretty well. You know, get some guys with, you know, cred behind them. I think he'd have done really, really well. But it is what it is. See how it goes. But if I'm Hugh Freeze, I'm keeping Cadillac for sure.
Yeah, no, totally. That's a must. And you know, and if I'm Cadillac, I'm looking around. I'm like, okay, where can I go? Maybe Louisville is looking. Coach Prime's leaving, so maybe Jackson State's looking. Cincinnati's looking.
Colorado's looking. USF's looking.
Colorado's still looking. Yeah.
FAU, Willie Taggart.
Yeah, FAU's looking. I mean, there's options for sure.
It'll be real interesting to see how this thing unfolds, especially if he decides to not, which would be detrimental to his football team if he didn't.
Yeah, for sure. And we have a special guest in the background. If you can't hear,
trying to get your.
I know, right? They're I don't know what they're doing here, but so yeah, so coaching hires. That's good Lord, that's it's interesting nonetheless. And we'll see kind of where Coach Prime winds up, and we'll see how things shake out. So I'm excited to see it. I'm excited to see kind of where we're at. So let's talk LSU. So SEC championships this weekend. Hold serve in the dome, get that SEC championship, but Jaden Daniels poses a problem. Keishon Butte causes a problem. Harold Perkins can cause problems for this Georgia team. Georgia's gotten off to a couple sluggish starts over the last 2 games. Is that a concern with the talent that LSU stacked, or how do you see that?
I think, I meant to text you this the other day. I think that we're in. I feel like I think we've kind of played to the level of our opponent. Just looking at the record, games we struggled in, Missouri, Sanford, was simply because Coach Hatcher was over there. I'm pretty sure Kirby didn't want to run up on them. And last week against Georgia Tech, I mean, if you look at those games, the record is not very good. But at the same time, I haven't played bad because we were looking ahead, I feel like. So I don't think in this one. I think we know that we're the superior team in this one. The secondary is one thing that I worry about, especially with Butte. Got to play better because I'm pretty sure he's going to be on him, the rest of the night. A little low here, especially last week. We got to have to do a really good job playing zone. They got a lot of really good zone. It's amazing to me how we stop Tennessee's receivers, but we come out, leave Georgia Tech receivers almost wide open running down the field. Like I tweeted, I said, this is just showing something different to be like, hey, we can do. And then come Saturday, it's like, no, cuz. So we're gonna have to get pressure, on Daniel. And we're gonna have to get him to the ground. He's a very good athlete back there, and you leave him in the pocket, he can eat you up with his legs. So we're gonna tackle. Defensively, they don't really scare me defensively. They're not the defense of the past that we're used to seeing from LSU. Athletic, especially on the back end. The box is still the box at LSU, but they're not as dominant as that we've seen from LSU. So we can't come out sluggish because they can beat you. If you want last week, they kind of walk through that one. So I think a little bit more edge to them this week.
Yeah, I think so too. And, I think you got to look at also with this Georgia team up front, like what concerns me and what concerned me watching the Kentucky game, what concerned me watching the Georgia Tech game is that our failure of being able to get a yard when we need it up the middle, which that's something we've been good at for most of Kirby's tenure. We've all of a sudden can't pick up that yard.
Mm-hmm. That is true.
Are you concerned about that? Like what's happening there?
We've also gone more to a zone scheme this year, which I've kind of noticed instead of just like what I call dive, just straight ahead, just man-on-man ISO type deal. When you had Zeus back there, he was going to get you that yard no matter what. We have different backs, a little bit more finesse in the back. So you think zone is a safe, but what they're doing is they're taking that away from us. So it's one of those things I got to figure out what you can do well. I think if we just go straight ahead against people, I think we're fine. Especially when you have Bowers and Washington and back there helping you out too, especially in ISO situations to get a yard. I think that's what Stetson's going to protect the ball. I think we're getting a lot more pressure on him as of late. Teams are starting to figure out, well, he likes to get the ball out fast. Well, he does. But what he also does really well. So I think he's going to have to use his legs a lot more championship game, more than being to where he's scrambling. I think he's going to have to have some design runs this Saturday in order to beat LSU. In order to keep LSU at bay and for us to go ahead and take this game over on Saturday.
Yeah, he's going to have to create. We're going to have to do some things, zone read stuff down in the red zone. Give us a threat so those guys can't load up the middle. Have some RPO stuff where you're getting Stetson moving, and then just straight move the pocket. Sprint out, let him get it out, and if it's not there, let him pull it and go because he's really good at that. He scored multiple occasions. He's had several big runs that didn't result in touchdowns, but resulted in huge chunk plays. And you have to be able to take advantage of that with him because that's the type of player he is. But if you try to sit back and treat him like he's a pocket passer, like he's Tom Brady or Peyton Manning, like just sit back there and pick you apart, that's not his game. His game is to move around. His game is to create. And when he
That's one thing that
creates, the run game gets better.
Alabama is they ain't got us beat against Alabama. That's championship game last year. Is we tried to sit him, try to throw the ball. We've done that the last couple of weeks.
Such a weird game plan. Such a weird game plan. Like I don't get it.
Nah. Obvious last week. Now that you bring it up, is that he threw a lot of passes from the pocket. I think we got it in order to win a national championship again. He's gonna have to move the pocket. Use the athlete that you have, because if something were to happen, I don't think Beck's ready for that fire just yet, especially in a situation where you get
not
championship.
In this scenario.
You have to win the final game and you national championship.
Yeah,
you know,
not in this scenario.
He's safe for Beck, using his legs and creating instead of just sitting in the pocket and taking licks like that. Yeah, no, definitely not, because he's going to take that one big shot from Harold Perkins, and we might be seeing 15 warming up. So, if you want to jump in on the chat and throw your opinions out there, subscribe to our YouTube channel, get in on the chat. We will get your comment right here on the screen here. We are talking about the SEC championship, how we match up with LSU, how we can attack them. I mean, gap schemes. We've been very successful at running our gap schemes, our counters, and our powers and things like that. But when you look at us and we just, I don't know, we just kind of get boring. We kind of get, I don't know, we get predictable at times. And I don't know if that's just being vanilla, just to be vanilla, but yeah, I don't know. I don't know. It's weird how we do that sometimes. Yeah, I think it is. I go back to Tennessee and watching us in person. I think we'd have put a 60 burger on. Well, but once we get up and we get a lead, it's kind of like we're just going to lean on the defense and try to get out of here. And we can't do that anymore. Once you get to this time of the year, which is a championship, you win. And once you get to semifinals, you definitely can't do it, because guess who you run into? A USC team, or you run into a TCU team where you have to score points. Mm-hmm. Yes. And we're not built for a shootout as of right now. Win the shootout, but we're not built for a shootout. Yeah, I mean, we can score in bunches, but it takes like a lot of momentum. I don't know that we're there yet, and we certainly have the capability. I mean, we kind of gotten one with Tennessee, about a month ago, and we kind of just took it to them, and we kind of pressured Hendon Hooker. I mean, our defense feeds off of it, so the shootouts really just turn into lopsided affairs where we put up like 21 points, just like that. We out Tennessee, and we played stellar defense, and that's how we dominated them. And then we just sat on the ball and took the air out of it in the second half because of the weather was atrocious. But it's a tale of it's Jekyll and Hyde with Stetson. I'm afraid, and I hope that we don't get the Hyde version. Right, Hyde's the bad one, right? Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's what I thought. Yeah, I always get confused with Jekyll and Hyde. Yeah. So Hyde, we hope we don't get the Hyde version of Stetson Bennett. We hope we get the dialed in, confident, slightly cocky, moving the pocket, running around, making plays, finding receivers, just being creative with Stetson. We saw number 5. We saw AD Mitchell back in the lineup a little bit. So he's back. Trying to sneak him on the field, man. He's back. There he is. So, okay. Here we go. Let's get it. Tank, McConkey, you got Bowers, you got Mr. Jack Saint's been an MVP in this whole thing. I mean, you got Kerrys Johnson still, you got Blaylock still, so we've got weapons. And this is all going to be predicted. So you heard it here first, all right? Does Kirby Ware sit on the right side of his head? Because when he wears it on the left, we don't really do. Has to wear his head sit on the right side. And Stetson has to get the fresh fade. Things happen. We're going to win the SEC championship. Israel, you got to go dial up the barber right now. Go look him up. Go dial him up. Let's get Stetquavius that tight fade here. All right. Yeah, let's
let's bring Quavius to the Mercedes-Benz Superdome or whatever they call it.
If you like senior day, the fade was looking a little rough. I'm pretty sure he'll have that thing lined up fresh, for Saturday. So whenever he gets his fresh, think about it. Tennessee, Oregon, South Carolina. Who else? I just had Tennessee,
Mississippi State, Tennessee.
Those 3 games, that thing was fresh, man. It was fresh.
Yeah. I think Kirby in the Mississippi State game, he had his headset on the left side. He got mad, ripped it off, and then flipped it around.
Yeah, see, man.
Kirby, if you're listening, put that thing on the right side.
Absolutely. It's not now your left hand side.
It is for me. Right. It is for me. If it's weird if it's on the right, especially if it's a one ear. Like I have to go one ear on the left.
We can't trust you.
I'm left-handed, so that makes sense. I'm left-handed though.
That makes sense.
Yeah, I'm left-handed. I think it goes on the dominant side.
Yeah, it just looks like a booger on my left hand. Like if I put it, I feel like a booger in my face. Just
because you typically hold your sheet in your non-dominant hand, right?
Well, no.
So if the boom mic is in the way, you hold it right.
Unless I'm writing, at one time I actually hold it in my right hand.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I'll always hold it. I put the sheet in my back pocket. I pull it out probably every 3 series. I'll pull it out, open it up, and see if anything jumps out off the page. But normally I can rattle off the dome.
I'm very
getting a good rhythm.
It's amazing because I'm a baseball player and I can pick stuff in my left hand, but other than that, I can't do it. Very right hand dominant.
Yeah, I could, because of baseball, I can catch better with my right.
This thing's useless.
Because it's the glove hand.
I can't do anything else with it. Hold a pencil.
I'm trying to teach myself how to throw right-handed. It's really quite funny.
I can't figure out how to step. I can hit left, but I can't step and throw. How to step just throws everything off.
Because you go to step and it feels weird, and you get your hand all it feels just weird.
Mm-hmm.
I throw like a grenade when I throw right-handed. I have the grenade toss, it's all like straight armed. Yeah, just not much, just not much. I'm here for all you.
Yeah.
For all you that are listening to this audio version tomorrow, you're not going to know a damn thing of what I'm talking about, but
you'll understand. You won't know what we're talking about, but you'll understand.
Yeah, we've all been there. We've all been there trying to throw with our non-dominant hand, just trying to be funny and all that good stuff. So, but yeah, so defensively, I think you got to treat Jaden Daniels the same way you treated Hendon Hooker.
You have to treat
You've got to push the pocket from the inside. Yeah.
Yes.
Rough them up.
Same plan that we had against Tennessee.
Yes. Rough them up. And we're already getting some laughs here. Thanks, Cassidy. You make me feel a little bit better. Rough up the receivers. Push the pocket from the inside. Stop the run. Don't let them run. Mm-hmm. Have Daniels is a little bit gimpy with his ankle. He's having some ankle issues. He won't be 100%, but an 85% Jaden Daniels is better than most quarterbacks that we faced. So we can't really rest on that. So push the pocket from the inside, get him running side to side to where he can't get comfortable and step into these throws, and then he'll make some unforced errors. Texas A&M gave us a great blueprint on how to contain him.
Absolutely. I'm looking forward to Bullard having another good game against these. I like that kid. I like him a lot. Stark.
Yes.
Starks. For Nolan, that out defensive end type position, he's doing a phenomenal job. Jalen Carter just got to be Jalen Carter. He's going to have to go in there, and wreak havoc like he's been doing, and for Ringo Ringo's been struggling a little bit. I don't think it's not a technique. He's there. He just doesn't play air right now. which he did at the beginning of the season. Need Ringo to come back, and I think we're going to be fine. Master's doing a great job over there. Holding his own on that side. He's a lot more than he would be.
Dude,
that kid is going to be.
He's a
special.
pun intended. He is a dog. But
Absolutely.
Ringo, I think Ringo's just not really focused.
I think he's pressing a little bit.
I
think he's a lot.
He's pressing a little bit. He's
That's what it seems a little bit.
He's off. Yeah,
he's just off.
That one. Yeah, he made one of the most unathletic plays I've ever seen in that Tech game, where the guy just teleported around him, and he stood there like, I had a better chance of tackling that guy than he did, and I was like, oh, that probably cost him 3 rounds right there in the draft. Yeah. Not making that tackle. It was a screen. It was a quick screen. All he had to do was come up, break down, close the gap, and run through the guy's hip and tackle him. And he just froze. The guy just ran right around him.
And that's why I said guys get caught in the head. He's a top round corner. They don't make corners like him. Big, physical corners that can run the way he does.
Yeah. I say that I'm not at all worried about his draft stock. That dude physically is extremely gifted. I think there's some things mentally you got to work on him with, but corners are just corners and closers in baseball. They're they're fragile.
Yeah, sometimes. Things where he's got to get out of his funk. Which I think he's just in a little funk right now. He'll be back.
I mean, he still had a pretty good game for being in a funk.
Yeah,
he had some passes defended. I mean, he made some good plays. Not certainly the level that we expect from Kelee Ringo, but dude made some plays for sure. So funk Ringo is better than most corners on a good day.
Yeah,
which is good for us.
I'm a big Bullet fan, man. That kid is pretty dang good.
Hell of a job.
The best thing that I like about him, he's very send him on blitzes, and he loves to tackle. Mm-hmm. He's like a small scene. He'll hit you. He ain't scared. He's very, very physical. I really like the kid. And seeing him in person against Tennessee, he was making the checks and the calls, and they were sending him on blitzes and stuff. Big fan of that kid. Very big fan. Like I said, last year and Stark and all going to have to do it 3 more times.
Let's get it 3 more times. Let's hoist that trophy, whatever that thing is, a little cylinder thing. Let's hoist that thing again, and let's get this thing. Let's go.
We missed it last year. We missed it last year, but we did. Now let's get both of them.
Yeah, exactly.
Now you get 2 rings or 3 rings. You get 3 rings now. You get SC championship ring, semifinal ring, and a natty,
which is the Peach Bowl.
Mm-hmm. Oh, we got.
If we finish number 1, we get our choice. Yeah, it's Peach Bowl, so we get our choice. And if it's Peach Bowl against USC, guess who has to travel?
Yep. So it's basically a home game for us.
Yep. So we get our second SEC Pac-12 matchup, where the Pac-12 is playing a not true road game. See what I did there?
Mm-hmm. See it.
So here's a topic that I saw on SEC Network with on the SEC Final with Peter Burns and Takeo Spikes and Ben Watson, our guy Ben Watson, Benjamin Watson, one of the best dogs out there.
Oh yeah.
They were talking about who is coach of the year, and I thought this was an interesting. I got to give credit for them for the topic. I mean, I know it's not like an earth-shattering topic that someone with half a brain cell can come up with, but that's where I saw it. That's what's inspiring this conversation. So I got to give them credit where credit is due. So, coach of the year, SEC coach of the year. Obviously, you got to give a nod to Kirby. He's 24-0 in the regular season. Lost 15 draft picks and still finished undefeated. Swept the SEC again. Went 12-0. But some other candidates that I think are honorable mentions, Josh Heupel going 10-2 in his second year, and inheriting a dumpster fire of a Tennessee program. Shane Beamer over the last 2 weeks has kind of put his foot in the race.
That would definitely
two top 10 wins in the last 2 weeks, respectively, including a 60 burger on the aforementioned Tennessee. You get Clark Lee, who might have inherited one of the worst teams in FBS, all of FBS, outside of like UConn and UMass and Hawaii. Like there was I could count on one hand the teams that were worse than Vandy. He goes 5-7, 2 conference wins over Florida and on the road at Kentucky, who was a ranked opponent at the time. So impressive for Clark Lee. The polar opposite is Brian Harsin. Cadillac for going what 4-0 in his
he went
coming in for Brian Harsin. Or did he go 3-1?
3-1, I think.
I think he went 3-1.
Maybe 3.
He gets the interim coach of the year. Elijah Drinkowitz, man. I mean, not coach of the year, but I had him first fired. I thought he was going to be. He goes bowling
every time I fired, he does it. Like Georg, I feel like we saved his job. The win against South Carolina saved his job. It's just dang, he just can't get rid of
the win against Arkansas. The win against Arkansas saved his job.
But if I had to pick,
every time
he would be my guy for coach of the year.
I like the Shane Beamer. Yeah.
And then to come back, finish the way he did, beating Tennessee and Clemson. Spencer Rattler pretty much, bet on the game and tried to, sabotage it. I'm kidding. He didn't do that. But it seemed like he did because he threw picks and then he did touchdowns.
It seemed like he bet again. It seemed like he bet for Florida too.
Yeah. And to win that game the way he did, to get that trophy back, in South Carolina, deal. To keep that team
5-game losing streak in that series.
Yeah, because the offense was looking rough. Defense is getting beat. To do what he's done, injuries he's had, and the turmoil of fire your OC is, that's a tough deal, and he came out victorious. So, I think Shane Beamer deserves. Of course, Kirby does, obviously, but to do what Shane did, Clark Lee even at Vandy. Vandy's going to be really scary in the coming future. If he keeps doing what he's doing. Definitely Shane, Clark, and obviously Kirby. 3 guys to get it if they got it. But Shane's number 1 just because of what he.
I go Kirby because I don't think you need to get lost in the fact that you get these Saban standards on him and you just kind of expect him to go undefeated every year, losing what we lost. I know you and I know more about our roster than most, but it's still impressive nonetheless. Shane Beamer, I think, it's very scary. And Shane Beamer, I think, had a tremendous turnaround. I think there were certain points where he was in jeopardy, I think. And he not only dug himself out, he did it with an exclamation point.
Yeah, I saw that. I was like, y'all are getting rid of him. What was this, year 2?
Yeah, I was like, that's stupid.
That's
even against Georgia, they played hard. They just made 1.5 million mistakes.
Spencer Rattler,
and Spencer Rattler, which poor guy, was just thrown to the wolves. Man, he was dreadful. I think had he been more consistent, they might be second. They might have been second in the East with the effort they put out.
Mm-hmm.
So I give Shane Beamer kind of like the 1B nod. I think it's going to be Kirby, but if it's not Kirby, it should be Shane Beamer. should be Shane Beamer. So I thought that was interesting. So let's make some picks, shall we?
What we got?
What we got? All right. So our picks go as followed. Georgia is 36.5 point. No, I'm just kidding. Our first matchup is Friday, 7 p.m., 8 p.m. on the East Coast, I Bleav. Utah is taking on USC for the Pac-12 title. USC is 3-point favorites. Over under set at 67. What are you taking?
Give me C -3. I beat the team twice, and I think Caleb Williams is playing out of his. That defense has been really, really good, especially that front guy. So give me USC in this one.
All right. The Pac-12 title game, I think, is going to go to USC as well. I think Caleb Williams is playing phenomenal football. That team, even though they're kind of sharp and soft a little bit on defense, they're clicking. They're doing just enough. We'll see how they do against a very physical Utah team. So this is a rematch game for the Trojans, but I do like the Trojans -3. Not touching the over-under, though. So this is not a two-leg parlay. On Saturday, the noon kick, the Dr. Pepper Big 12 Championship, TCU is matched up against K-State in an all-purple championship affair. Kansas State had a tremendous turnaround as well under Chris Kleiman, bringing back power football. If you laid your eyes on North Dakota State during their 5-in-a-row run of national champions at the FCS level, Chris Kleiman was the head of that, and they were a lot of 22, 31 personnel teams.
A whole lot of
21 personnel, a whole lot of you better man the F up. And TCU is they got Max Duggan at quarterback, who's a playmaker. They're not a team to be slept on either as far as physicality goes. This will be a really, really good game. The 2.5-point spread is very appropriate for this one. The over-under set at 61.5, so there will be a little bit of points scored. Deuce Vaughn is one of my favorite players in the country. I don't know, man. I think I want to pick Kansas State so bad. I really do. You know what? I'm going to pick them. Deuce Vaughn. I like Kansas State +2.5. I think they're going to cause some issues in the playoff here.
I really want to take Kansas State as well, but
there's always a but.
I'm still going to take Kansas State. I think TCU wins the game, but I think Kansas State keeps it close. I think it's going to be a real similar game that TCU just played because Kansas State's defense is good.
Yeah.
I hope they win. No, it's going to cause a lot of problems, moving forward. But TCU wins, but I think Kansas State covers the spread, holds it to 2.5.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah. Might be a 1-point game. I don't know. Kansas State might win.
Very
all right.
Baylor vibes to it, I feel like.
Yeah, for sure. In a game that was supposed to go to James Madison, but they can't because they're on that transitional probation for some odd reason. Yeah, like they came up from FCS, so like they can't do postseason for a year.
That's dumb.
Yeah, it's like it hasn't mattered for a lot of teams that made the jump because they had a rough go in their first year anyway. But for Coastal, actually for James Madison, they're the best team in the conference. They're the best team in the Sun Belt.
Can't even chip. That's rough.
Can't play for championship. Can't go to a bowl. Yeah.
Oh.
Tell me how much sense that makes. So in steps Coastal Carolina. They are without Grayson McCall, which that's a huge blow for them. That puts them at 10.5 point underdogs against Troy. Without Grayson McCall, I like Troy.
That's tough. Yeah, I think I think Troy wins. I think the defense of Coastal will keep it. So I think they'll keep it within 7 because the defense is still pretty good. If they can control the clock, if they don't turn the ball over, I think it'd be a lot closer if they do that because I think defense will keep it. But I think Coastal wins. But I think keep it. I'm gonna take the +10 and take Coastal in this one. I think they keep it close.
Keep it close. I love it. All right. Then our next matchup, Central Florida, the Gus Bus takes on Tulane. Willie Fritz looking to get an American Conference championship under his belt before he goes to Georgia Tech. I like the Green Wave in this one. It's a rematch where Central Florida thumped Tulane in the first time they met. But I think Tulane's going to get the rematch.
It's hard game twice, and defensively, UCF's been struggling. So I think they send Will Fritz out, with a bang, and I think they will take the win on Saturday.
The SEC Championship, LSU, Georgia. Georgia is 17.5-point favorites. With all that we talked about, is that spread too high? Which the last few weeks it has been.
What was last week was 22, 21?
No, last week was 36.5. Last week was 36.5 was the spread.
What was 34 to 13?
37-14. 37-14 was the score.
3.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to take it. I think UGA is going to play because think about it now. The teams that they beat outside of Tennessee because of the rainstorm, they beat when they've shown up and played. So I think they're going to show up and play in this one.
Even after sluggish starts, yeah. They've shown that
really bad in the dome, so I think it's time to knock the dust off the dome and win this thing and be one of them to the playoff semifinals.
Remember 2019. Blake Ruffino, host of AYS Sports, Are You Serious Sports? He's an LSU guy. Sorry, Blake, but Georgia's going to win and get the cover here. It's going to be tight for a little while, but Georgia's going to do what Georgia does. They're going to pull away with the run game. They're going to affect the quarterback, and they're going to bend and not break early on while they're trying to feel their way through this game. And then once they figure it out, boom, here we come.
There you go.
And then the nightcap is your choice between the ACC championship with Clemson and North Carolina and the Big Ten championship between Michigan and Purdue. Michigan has a similar point spread against Purdue. They're 17-point favorites against Purdue, which I'm all over Michigan on that one.
All over that one. North Carolina had been straight. I like them over Clemson, but
they're plus 7.5. They're plus 7.5. Yeah, I think they at least cover if they don't win.
Because DJ struggling.
Oh my God.
Is not so.
Yeah.
It's kind of a toss where you put at quarterback.
They got a quarterback issue, meaning they don't have one. So but there you have it. Championship Saturday, right?
It's gonna be a good Saturday. I'm excited.
Let's answer this question. Besides Kirby being the coach for Georgia, who's been another good coach for Georgia?
Mark Richt.
I'm not sure what you're talking about. Mark Richt is one. Vince Dooley. Jim Donnan did some good things in recruiting. He couldn't quite get over the hump against the rivals, but Ray Goff was not really a good one. But
yeah, Ray Goff really wasn't a good one. He struggled.
Sorry, Ray. He's struggling. He got so much talent there, though, but he struggled big time.
Like him as a person, but he struggled as a football coach at the university.
Will Muschamp was a great coach for Georgia when he coached at Florida and South Carolina. He sabotaged those programs for us. So thanks. Oh man, that's funny. I still can't believe Auburn hired Hugh Freeze, man. That's like I don't like that. I don't like that.
I'm all for second chances. I'm not above, but I just can't fathom the fact that he's, although what he did is perfectly legal now, so it's not all bad.
Using the school credit card at the adult joint.
Hey man, look, you got to get
Calling some
recruits
escort
as possible, So
I guess so. And then he's DMing like sexual assault victims.
I did not know that.
Yeah, at Liberty when he did get a second chance. So screw him. They screwed over Cadillac for him. Yeah.
I was looking at something the other day, and it was, what you just said about second chance. They were talking about, Dion for a couple of jobs here, and they were talking about his prime academy was kind of failed out. They kind of left a red mark in him as far as being a head. And I was like, so you're going to take the school that he was trying to create to help that just didn't pan out. Now they just didn't allow people to Hugh Freeze, who, when you Google that, it's just one of those deals to where you at that particular time, and kind of what the people want.
Mm-hmm.
I don't really consider it, I just consider it of what looks good at that. If it's me, Cadillac and Deion Sanders are the two best candidates, two jobs. Considering the fact that you got a guy who's going to love the school, going to do anything for the school, that's what I'm looking at. Not just, it's Hugh Freeze. You know what I mean? Does that make sense?
Yeah, it does. It totally makes sense. So yeah, I don't get why you would pass him up to get this guy. It was like unwanted drama in your program. And I just don't understand why you would welcome that, but who knows? But I think that leaves the door open for Coach Prime to go to Colorado. Never thought I'd hear that being said.
They offered him the job, man. I don't know what we got to get Jake on, I don't know what Auburn wants. You know what I mean? You hired Harsin, and you had a clearly better candidate.
Yeah.
He was not taking anything from his coaching ability because I think he's a really good coach. But you take that guy from the West, from the Mason to the South. It's a great down here, man. It's the caliber of kids that you're dealing with.
Yeah.
So does Hugh Freeze, coming from Liberty, understand what he's getting into?
Well, he's been in this league before. Yeah. I mean, he's a Southern guy. He's a Tennessee guy. So culture-wise, he knows, but he's also got a little bit of the scumbagery a little bit with some of the stuff that he's done.
Yeah, but is the scum there, or did it leave because he had to get right with Jesus to get into heaven?
Oh, yeah, righteous gemstone here.
Hey man, I tell my kids all the time, I'm trying to get into heaven. Y'all are sometimes slowly but impeding my progress.
You guys are boarding me on the wrong bus here. You guys I'm getting my CDL. So some days I'm like getting my CDL to drive the red bus, not the blue bus.
All the time, you better get right before you catch this lift.
Yep. I will use that one. That was good. I'm gonna use that one. That's good. So yeah, no, I think they made a show on HBO called The Righteous Gemstones about Hugh Freeze being a preacher man.
Yeah. From a football coach standpoint, it's a great hire. If you're just looking at ball, he fits what they want as far as an offensive scheme, but that I think they should have given it to Cadillac in my honor to do what he did.
Yeah.
And I know this is not Bleav in Auburn, but Cadillac Williams fan. I've been a big Cadillac Williams fan. To do what he's done in the short amount of time that he did it, and got in my mind that if they don't have those penalties or turn the ball over Alabama, they beat Alabama.
They were.
There's no doubt.
Yeah, because Alabama went on that run right before halftime. Yeah, I mean they went.
Yeah, and it helped them out.
Bill Bryan found the O for his name, so he's Bill O'Brien again for at least one more week. So
yeah.
Well, that's going to wrap it up for us here on the Bleav in Georgia Dogs podcast on the Bleav Network. We this SEC Championship edition of the Bleav in Georgia Dogs podcast. We'll see where the playoff rankings come out tomorrow. We'll see what the implications are on Saturday. See where we are selection Sunday. We will react to that as well. We'll do a bowl pick 'em. We'll have some fun. We'll go out of pocket a little bit and do more of Bleav in college football type show where we just kind of talk bowls and talk matchups and just postseason awards, things like that. We'll go around the conference, say superlatives, things like that, who we thought played well. And we'll give like an early reaction to the playoff matchups and then kind of how we see it unfolding from there. Then as we get closer to game time, we'll do a full scale preview and maybe even try to welcome Ryan Dyrud or somebody from USC out here. If that's who we indeed match up with, we'll try to figure out who we can get as a guest, if we can get a guest, and we'll go from there. But I think it's going to be a fun run here. I think Georgia's finally going to win the first SEC championship since 2017. So I'm excited about that, and we'll see where this goes, man.
Absolutely. Top four or top, I'd say top six. Yeah, Michigan, TCU, USC, Ohio State, Tennessee. I know Tennessee got much out by South Carolina, but they all beat Alabama.
They did. You can't put Alabama over Tennessee. So Tennessee fans rejoice in me saying that, at least. Here's the thing. I'll go on a tangent here before we actually close. Tennessee fans, this is why the rivalry is reignited with me with Tennessee. When I was living in Georgia, I didn't really care much about Tennessee. I didn't like. I mean, you hate them the week you play them, but outside of that, I'm like, okay, whatever. It's Tennessee. Since living up here, man, Tennessee fans are like Georgia this, Georgia that. Every chance they get, they mention Georgia, and us making excuses for themselves. And well, we're only in year 2 of Josh Heupel, and we only lost to Georgia by 14. And it took them. They make up all these fluky situations.
Started raining. I was there. If it doesn't rain, all don't cross the 50.
Yeah. I mean, I'm like, guys, it's okay to be excited about your team. I get it. You're pretty good, but come on, man. You get dominated by the team that you're criticizing. And what do you
and you got 60 burgers by South Carolina.
Yeah. So you really can't talk.
Well, we did this to Georgia. Yeah. What'd you do to South Carolina?
You allowed them to party. That's what you did. You got a bright future under Heupel. Got to find some defense, but you got a bright future under Heupel. Heupel's a really good coach. If he wasn't coaching for Tennessee, I'd be a bigger fan of him. But he coaches Tennessee, so I can't. So yeah, I'm with you there. So I thought I'd share that, but yeah, that's going to do it for us now. We're gonna get out of here. But we thank you for listening. Subscribe to us on YouTube. Find us on social media. There's a link tree in my bio for everything, everywhere you can find our show, including the SiriusXM app, TuneIn Radio, and anywhere else you get your podcast. Make sure you subscribe. Make sure you download. Make sure you give that thing a listen, because you will not regret it. I promise you. For Israel Troop, I'm Corey Burton. We hope you have a great rest of your week. We hope you have an even better weekend. Enjoy your championship Saturday. And as always, go Dogs. We're presented by betonline.ag.